I'm going to be working with some plants in my plant spa today. Come and join me. Hey, it's Elise. I'm glad you stopped by. I call this my plant spa. It's just a place where I bring plants. I can pamper them, give them a little TLC. But one of the prime reasons I started using this, besides helping my plants out, is that it saves money. It saves me a lots of money, time and effort, and again, helps the plant. All it is something that will, a container that will hold water, that you can put your nutrients in and set your pots down in. That's all. You can use any size you want, whatever you have. Recycle what you have. You don't have to spend any money. What I have here is a plastic container. It's about 28 quarts. But you don't have to have this. You can have something the size of a shoebox. You can use a trash can. You can use buckets, an old wash tub, an old bathtub, whatever you have on hand. And if you're really lucky, you can get them for free if you go to curbside pickups, or practically for free if you have good garage sales and thrift stores in your area. Check out your garage, your utility room, see what your neighbors might have laying around. But anything that holds water is all you need. All right, the idea is you put your plant in, it has time to actually soak up the nutrients. You save lots of money because every time you add nutrients, the nutrients just goes down into the bucket. And then the plant can sit there and wick that nutrient back up. And I used to get, a little irritated that I would go out and I would mix up any kind of compost tea, Epsom salts tea, banana peel tea, anything, manure teas, doesn't matter. And I would go and I would pour them on my container plants and it would just run right through. Now I tried watering my container plants first. It really didn't help. And I did a little experiment. Identical size pots with identical soil. One I wet and I let it drip out. The other one I kept bone dry. I put the same amount of water in both pots and they both just dumped the water out. So it really doesn't matter if you water it first or if it's dry as far as retaining the liquid. So I started doing this, and I originally started doing it with cuttings. One of the main reasons cuttings fail is because they dry out. If you've got a misting system, that's fantastic. My apologies for the neighbor's rooster. He does it all day long. So one of the reasons that the cuttings don't make it is they dry out. This way I get them off to a good start. I have a couple of these containers. I leave them over by my potting area. When I do a container of cuttings, I just turn around and set it right immediately in the pot. So it's great for cuttings. It's great for young seedlings. It's great if you're up potting. It's great for stress plants, for sick plants. I have put stress plants in here that look like they should have been thrown away, and basically it brought them back by letting them stay in a little bit longer in some nutrient-rich liquid. It works. And it saves money. And I'm going to repeat that often because it saves money. So instead of you pouring your nutrients out into the ground, you're pouring them on the pot, and it goes through, it sits in the pot, and you aren't wasting it. Or you can put your water and your nutrients in first in the container and then set your pots in. Up to you. Now, if I put my water and my nutrient in first and then my pots, what I do is I'll let it sit there until I see water come up on the surface. And then I'll go ahead and take them out. And when I take them out, I do hold them up a moment so they can finish dripping. If I don't add my water and nutrient first, I'll just mix it up, take a cup and pour it on here. When it pours through the pot, it's caught in the container, and then the roots of the plant still have an opportunity to sit there and wick it up. Now, I used to take my pots and I would sit them around larger plants in the ground or trees in the ground, so that when I did put my nutrients on, it would run down and feed that larger shrub and feed that larger tree. But it was still just a moment or two that water goes through. And that root has to try to grab all that nutrient in just those couple of moments. Now it can sit here and take its time and grab up all the nutrients that it wants. I mean, that's logical. And again, you save money. All right, so use any container you have. This 28 quart, you can use shoe size, you can use trash cans, anything. I keep my containers over by my potting area, predominantly in the shade. They do get some bright indirect light filtered throughout the day as it comes over the tree line, but not bright direct sun. Bright direct sun's not a good thing, especially on young, tender plants. Definitely you do not want bright sun on cuttings and young seedlings. A couple of things to watch for. Kind of know your plant. Now, some plants really like to sit in the water for a little bit. They are almost water driven. In the back, I have some black elderberry I just took out of the container. They like being damp. This is some young plants that we picked up out of the ground. They have wilted, which is absolutely normal. And I'll talk about black elderberry more in other videos. But I just took those out. And when I took them out, there wasn't hardly any liquid left in the container. I went ahead and I washed my container out, which I will do. I quite often wash my container out in between batches. If there is some liquid left in here, I use it. I don't waste it. I will put it on other plants in the ground or in pots. I never waste it. So your container is up to you. Your location is up to you, but just not bright, hot sunshine. The nutrient, again, is up to you. What do you have available? I use lots of Epsom salts because Epsom salts is really good for stressed plants. Has lots of magnesium in it. So a stressed plant, a cutting, even seedlings, sick plants, and I brought sick plants back that looked like they were dead and come back by just letting them sit in the water with some Epsom salts or some other nutrient. You can use vermicompost tea, you can use compost teas, you can use manure teas, you can use green leaf teas, you can use teas that you made from chop and drop. You can use any water-soluble nutrient that you want to use. That's up to you. If you want to go buy a fertilizer, a water-soluble nutrient, go buy something or make something out of your landscape. Epsom salts is about the only thing that we buy. We make all of our other teas for fertilizers. Once in a while, I will buy a little thing of unsulfured molasses. Because if you've got a really stressed plant, that helps to give them a little sugar. All right, what we have here in the back is some young Suriname cherries. These two pots in the front are volunteer tomatoes that just came up. I don't know what they are, but that's okay. They look healthy. I guess a bird ate a tomato and dropped the seeds, or an animal or something. Since these were kind of close to my heirloom Tennessee cherry tomato bushes, my bet is that these are the heirloom Tennessee cherry tomatoes, which will be fantastic. All right, so this time I did not add my water first. Now I do have marks on the outside of this container telling me where a gallon is and 2 gallons is. So if I put my water in first, then I have an idea of how much nutrient I need to add. But since I just put my pots in and I'm just going to mix my nutrient up, then I'll go ahead and pour my nutrient in. I'm just going to use a little Epsom salts today. I have this container over here. It has 3 gallons of water in it. And I have my little container of Epsom salts. The amount of Epsom salts you use is definitely up to you. The recommended amount is 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. If you have an established plant, a larger plant, you want to use a little more. If you have a young, tender seedling, you might not want to use 2 tablespoons. All right, this is 1/4 of a cup, which is 4 tablespoons. There's 3 gallons of water in here, so it's just a little bit over. I'm not real persnickety about it. These are established plants. And just sprinkle it in. Stir it up really, really good. You can add other stuff to this, whatever you want. And that's the great thing about this. You can take it, tweak it, and make it your own. Use whatever you have. And I know I say that a lot, but I really do mean it. I don't think that we should be pigeonholed into thinking that we have to use this, we have to use that. You use what you have, what's available to you when you have it. Okay. So now all I'm going to do is take a container. This is just a little recycled cup. I use them quite often out here, and they actually do last many seasons, and sometimes I even use them for planters. And I'm going to put a cup in each pot. And as you see, it's just running right through. So if this was sitting on the ground, all of this cup just about would be wasted. So instead of it being wasted, it's running down in the bottom. It's that easy. I don't know if you can see, but now I do have fluid down in the bottom. And these will, this is a little bit uneven. These will sit here and soak that up in its own time. And it will really help them. We are just coming out of winter, so this is going to help. This is a good time to pick out a few little weeds, check your labels if you need to relabel stuff, things like that. Now I can walk off and go do something else. I'm not here holding a water hose. I'm not here dumping a lots of liquid plant after plant after plant. I go do something else. When I think these have set long enough, I can come in and I can put another batch in. And again, this normally is not where I have it. I usually have my containers right by my potting area. But what you can do, now I have these on a wheelbarrow. I call it my portable potting platform. When it just has some wire closet shelves actually. And I can roll this wheelbarrow with my little portable spa on it around to areas where the plants are. So when I take these off, all I have to do is turn around behind me and put them back down because that's where I picked them up at. Neat, huh? So even though setting your plants out around big shrubs and big trees and then pouring the fertilizer on them and then the fertilizer drips down around the plant works, that you still have to go back and pick up your plants unless you're going to leave them there all the time. You can do all of this for free, basically for free. Buy a little Epsom salts, it's not that expensive. Don't use Epsom salts. Make your own green teas. Make your own peeling teas from vegetables. That's it. All right, I'm going to let these sit a while. Did I mention this was free? All right. I'll come back in an hour or so, and whatever is left in here, I have another batch I'm going to put in, so I'm really not going to do anything with this right now. If I were through for the day, I would take the liquid that was in here, pour it on another container, rinse my this container out, and I'll be ready to go the next day. It is very easy, folks. It saves time, it saves labor, really, really helps your plant, and it saves you money. Tweak it, make it your own, use whatever containers you have, pamper your plants. Talk to you later.